New location, new haircut, same average scores from Kobe Hetherington. Here we are for the Broncos and the Bulldogs here. 34-14 ended up. It was 14-12 by the Dogs, an absolute masterclass put on by Adam Reynolds, and it's something that we expect from the gun halves. There's only probably 5 to 7 of them you would say that you could argue with that could put on this type of performance and really step up in the important 20 minutes of the game, and Reynolds came out and did that with a try of his own and 3 try assists there. So he's averaging 54.8 for the year, and he's someone that I did mention at the start that he had a tiny bit of upside, just for the sheer fact that he had a very, very limited try assists last year, and he's going to a team where he's going to be the focal point. Obviously, they weren't going to be amazing. Won a couple of games so far, but the kick meters are all his, and the try assists and the goals are going to be there as well. So he's now averaging that 55 and is going to be up about 80 or 90k on the season. So well done to Reynolds, and for anyone that picked up him, he's not going to play Origin. Definitely some upside to him. Probably less now, but he's a very consistent performer. Hasn't scored under 50 yet. How good's Payne Haas? There was 64 in 68 minutes there. So he went off for 12, had a bit of an AC joint injury, and then came back on and picked up 254 meters. No offloads in this game, but the base stats were incredible there at a 64 base to go along with 1 tackle break and 1 missed tackle. So if you end up captaining him, like I did in my head-to-head team, you were very happy that he ended up coming back on and played the rest of the game. So well done to Payne there. Adokar was 64, so it was good to see him have a really top-notch game. Couple of tries early. Josh Jackson, so he's back, guys. He's really back. So he's got 3 80-minute performances in a row, and this is very much a back and forth game for him with plenty of tackles and no misses there. So really, really good signs for him. And the money that he's lost, you're gonna pick him up under 650k. So for someone who has lost it'll be about 110, 115 after this week. I think he's a really, really good selection coming into Origin. So big one on our radars, guys. Pangai Jr., so he misses out on a try assist, which I think he'll get. He deserves anyway for the Matt Duffy offload. That was a really, really nice try. So Pangai will get around that. We didn't even get a line break assist either. So a 65 for Tavita Pangai after his low score last week will be well deserved for him, who had a nice game with 4 offloads. Again, only missing 1 tackle. So having a decent start to the year for sure. Very up and down though. Duffy with 56, so I got a try saver there as well, and 7 tackle breaks, a couple of offloads. So he was pretty solid again. So 2 weeks in a row that he's had a fairly decent game. They just don't have the cattle, do they? Unfortunately, the Dogs. Forward pack's doing really well. I think they just can't put it all together and can't score points. Unfortunately, a couple of decent tries, but that was really off the back of guys like Aaron Shop and Karaz as well, who both had really strong games with 50 and 48 there. For those 2 young centers. So, Karaz was amazing. 7 tackle breaks, 4 offloads there to go along with 133 meters and only 3 missed tackles. So, he was great. I'm not sure what's going to happen next week. He's outside the top 30, and, the guys, Averillo, etc., had COVID. So, I doubt that Averillo gets, kicked out of that position. But, he also hasn't played amazing this year, and Karaz came in and made a difference straight away. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. Jordan Ricky there with 47, Palacia's, continuing to get those bigger minutes, and it's actually making complete sense now. Just if we're looking at, we'll talk about Kobe, Palacia, and also Flegler there. If you're looking at the preseason, I think Kobe played really, really well in those preseason games, played big minutes, worked really hard. It was very, very dynamic in his running, as well as just having really strong defense. And we're noticing that he's missing a bunch of tackles now. I just don't think he's playing as well in these first few games. He obviously had COVID as well, so I don't know if he might have had that long COVID fatigue, however you say it there. I just don't think he's playing as well, so I'm happy to concede defeat on him being an average pick, because his minutes have been down. Yes, if he got that extra 10 minutes, he'd be scoring fairly solidly with that 0.8, 0.9 kind of PPM there. But unfortunately, he's just not getting it. Palacia's getting those minutes, and it's well deserved for him. I'm not going to say that at all. And also, Flegler's a really, really strong player. If he can keep on the park, he deserves that 45 to 50 minutes as well to go along with Payne Haas playing big minutes. So, completely concede defeat there, and we'll speak about Heatho in a second. But Corey Pakes ended up moving back to the bench, and those that own Billy Walters like myself are pretty happy that was the case, with Walters potentially getting 50 to 55 minutes there. Ended up working the other way. So Walters started the game, and then Corey came on about 8 minutes before halftime and ended up playing the rest of the game. He scored a try himself. He made a second line break as well, and actually looked really dynamic out of dummy half. So this is kind of what he was showing in the preseason as well, and why we're pretty keen on him at a 310k price point in the preseason. Don't expect Corey to get a couple of line breaks and a try each week and maybe take off one of those tackle breaks. So if that's the case, we're going to take off about 18 on his score, and he scores 27 in that 49 minutes. So that 50 minutes or so will probably be, the same standard for him going forward. So just be aware of that if you're looking to pick him up next week. Luke Thompson coming back to earth after his big minute performance and big points. So his PPM's always great. He's just getting that up and down minutes there. When you got Paul Vaughan playing well, etc., it makes it a little bit tough. Tamari Martin, God, this was so nice to see. Obviously an ex-Cowboy. Poor fella had to get medically retired and has worked back into playing NRL footy, and it didn't even play much or any footy last year in Queensland Cup, and to come here this year and get an NRL start again, that was really nice. So watch that interview he had with Thurston after the game. It was just so nice to see for a young fella. He's only 26 now, and he was dominating. Helped us get to the 2017 grand final, etc. So to see him come in and actually have a really, really strong game and not get injured and be completely fine was so nice to see for Tamari. With the 6 tackle breaks, 147 metres. So really got involved, and he said that he just wanted to get in there and get a few touches and run hard. And, he's still got plenty of footwork, obviously, having, head injury stuff that none of that footwork or anything is going to, he's not going to have any issues with that. So it's really nice to see him at 300k come in and score a 43. I don't think we'll see it every week, but the 6 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 8 tackles for 0 misses. I don't, no errors, etc. With a try saver as well. We're not going to see that on a regular basis, but if you started with him this week, you did really well. And congrats to those that did that. Maxi King, our People Squad vice captain, with a nice 37 this week. So, yeah, just a bit of an okay game for him. Didn't have the multiple offload. He had 2 offloads, 1 to ground, 1 to hand. No tackle breaks this week, and tackles were a little bit lower. But still good minutes. Really happy with his 43 and his 37 points. So you can't believe he's up in the 500k section now, up 273k in total for the year so far. Hetherington Staggs, the interesting one. It happens. He was on pretty low score for a long part of this game and happened to end up with a 34 in that 80 minutes as well. So for him there, just the 4 missed tackles wasn't his best. Not much in attacking stats with the 1 offload, couple of tackle breaks there. No tries in this one, so just a very normal game for a centre, to be honest. With how he's been playing, we would have expected him to score a little bit better against the Dogs, but Aaron Shop, he held his own. Did a really, really good job. So, well done to Aaron for doing that. And I want to see Staggs calling out Talakai for next game. That's going to be a very fun one heading into next week. Matty Burton, this is the big one this week, guys. So, did have the try assist in there. 19 tackles, 6 misses, only 59 run meters. I'm really not liking that at the moment, and 252 kick meters. So obviously, splitting with Flanagan a bit, but just not many kick meters in this game. Obviously, they got pumped in the back end of the second half, so not much chance of him scoring points. But the missed tackles, the errors there, just not good enough, unfortunately. That's negative 17 in this game. It's really stopping him scoring. We want him to be at least a 50-point scorer, and a 39.6, 40 average there. He's just not cutting the mustard, and I can understand why people are looking to move him on, just for the fact that he isn't scoring well enough for what we would have hoped. You've seen how Nico Hines is moved into the 7 or 6 role. It doesn't really matter, into the main half role, and he's gone out and dominated and averaging about 30 points more than Burton. Would have expected them to be a lot closer than they are. Burton's not, and I completely understand why anyone would look to trade him out, especially for someone like Talakai. There's going to be a point where he plays better, but at the moment he's just not playing good enough. To be honest, when he was the main half for the Penrith Panthers, he was surrounded by a lot of kids, and all the Origin guys were gone, and he was the focal point, and he still managed to run the ball a lot better with a lot more vigor and managed to break the line. He doesn't even look close to breaking the line at the moment. So a bit of a strange one for him at the moment, and there'll definitely be some improvement over the season as he gets used to his team, as he gets used to being the main guy on a team. But how long do you hold personally before you look to move him on? He obviously plays 13. There'll be people looking to pick him up before Origin, especially if he comes out with one big game. So it's a scary one if you're looking to trade him out, but I understand why you would. Hetherington, so the 39 minutes is just, it's not enough really. PPM's fine. He got a nice line break assist and offload, heading in, finding a little chink in the armor there. But really for him, not good enough. We're not really going to make much money out of him at 421. I can understand why people would move him on. I did end up playing him in my team, just hoping for a mid-30s or so, with some potential for a 40, but the 39 with the less minutes there. When Payne Haas, still got massive minutes. You see Flegler really dominating. You see, yeah, Palacia, as we spoke about, coming off the bench and playing 50 odd minutes, like you can see where the important players are for Walters' squad, and Kobe's not one of them at the moment, and it makes complete sense. And I'm happy to admit defeat on that one. Obviously, he hasn't lost us a bunch of money. He made us a tiny bit across the season, but he made most of that before I said he was a buy. So yeah, it is what it is with that one. We'll have to cop that as a miss and move on. Yeah, Fleggs is a good player, guys. I'm keen to see him get into a bunch of games in a row without getting suspended. Would be ideal. And then Billy Walters, so only got the 31 minutes for 16. So we knew that this PPM would be somewhere around that. He'd have a few missed tackles, wouldn't run the ball too much. 20 tackles for 2 misses is what it is for him. He's going to lose a decent amount of cash this week. We might get him around the 305 mark. And it looks like Pakes is going to get that bigger role. So you can continue hold just because there's not too much going on. But if a nice cheapie comes up, then you could trade Walters down to them. That's about all in this video, though, guys. That's the Friday night game. We'll jump into those Saturday ones today. We've got 2 of those. I wish you all the best of luck for the rest of the weekend, and we'll catch you in that next video. See you, team.